Apex is nearly 5 years old, and like any game to that age, it's had things that were coming to it which unfortunately got cancelled. And we know about a lot of the stuff that got cancelled or lost, like COVID skins, like brutal finishes, like hidden heirloom animations, and many more things we will be going over. And to go over them in the most efficient way, I'm going to be tier listing all these scrap features and things as you can see here, although I'm sure you won't be able to understand most of these, but you will very soon. So to start off this grand tier list, we're starting with a bang. We're starting with a scrapped finisher that was seemingly scrapped before Apex came out, and this was a brutal finisher where the legend puts their foot on someone's chest and just shoots them in the head. Yeah, it's really like that. When I originally rendered this a few years ago, I rendered it with Blisk because it seems like something he would do, but it's not his finisher. Still super brutal and super cool, and it's getting rated an S, a big bang to start. But next we're going to tier list something I would have really liked, a scrapped part of Mirage's tactical, because essentially back in season 6, Shrugtal datamined a buff for Mirage where when enemies shot his decoys, it would have flashbanged them, which is absolutely awesome. I mean, this would have been super annoying against anybody going against it, but the idea of sending your decoy around a corner, flashing enemies and then rolling in and taking out those enemies is just too cool to avoid. So that's getting an A, but if I wasn't an ex-Mirage main, I would have probably rated it a lot lower because it seems very annoying to fight against. For the next thing to rate though, it's going to be quite controversial. The ammo box. This has a long history of showing up in leaks and getting data mined, but we never got it. It seemed like Respawn planned for this to be a survival item that you throw down and just take ammo from, but personally I do think this was reworked into Ballistic's Ultimate where he gives his whole team unlimited ammo. I don't think this is coming, and I think it's super dumb, so it's going in D tier, our first D tier of the video. It sucks, but it has to be done. But for this next one, and the next few, I think a lot of you will agree with me, because the next item to tier list is the badge Twitch drop. We only got this once, and the thing I'm talking about being scrapped is the ideas of badges coming out in Twitch drops. Respawn did it once, had loads and loads of issues with it, and then never did it again. It's a shame because these badges are really cool and nobody knows what they are. I luckily got one at the time, but a lot of people lost theirs, and now unfortunately Twitch drops are reduced to really bad rare skins. So I'm going to put this at an A because it's awesome, and I wish Respawn continued this, but unfortunately they're not. This next item we're tier listing is going to be a fan favourite, unlike one other skin coming up in this tier list, but this is the COVID flatline. This was data mined in the files back when COVID started, and everybody thought it was going to be released for a COVID fundraiser inside Apex Legends, but it never released. And it's a shame because this is a massive fan favourite unreleased skin due to Watson and a mask on the side of it, and just a really awesome look of it. This never released, it got removed from the files a few years ago. I don't think it's ever coming, but it's one of the most iconic and best skins in Apex, and it would have most likely been free, or going towards a charity, so that's going to have to go in an S spot. We are never going to see this again, and it's a huge fan favourite. Rest in peace. But for the next thing we're rating, I actually talked about this a few days ago, and this is the Cryo grenade. This was added to the files 2 years ago, and everybody thought it was coming, and the fact that they also added it in Apex Mobile made everyone think it was going to come even more, but it never came, and it turned out to be a prototype ability for Catalyst, which never released because obviously she doesn't have ice abilities now. So this is never going to come out. It was a testing. I think it would have been cool, but it would have been super annoying to battle with ice abilities. As we can tell by Mate in Overwatch, she is not fun to fight against. So I'm going to put this at a B tier. It would have been cool, but also annoying. This next item is about scrap skins, and if you like scrap skins, stay a little longer. But this is the Chinatown market event, which was scrapped a few weeks before it came out due to some drama in the Chinatown company, and then the company rebranded and came out as Market. So we got the market event. So unfortunately, we lost the Chinatown branded skins and they got rebranded to Market. So we're never going to see them again, but I don't think everybody's too fussed because we basically got clones of them a few months later. Plus, personally, in my opinion, these skins aren't the best looking, so you're going down to D tier. I'm sorry, someone has to be there, as well as the ammo box. The next item we're going to tier is actually 3 separate things. They are 3 data mined and scrapped arena features. One of them was seemingly a mini arena battle pass, and the other 2 were arena related perks. So when you were in the arenas mode, you would have been able to summon the circle closer to you for one match, or start the game with a fully charged ultimate. And I think these would have been really cool in arenas, and could have potentially saved the game mode from getting deleted because nobody played it. A mini battle pass would have brought plenty of people to arenas, and also perks you could have bought to influence the flow of the game would have been awesome. So this is going to A tier, just because if it came into the game, it could have genuinely saved arenas, although I'm sure many of you are happy arenas died. But if that makes you sad, trust me, one of the future tiers is going to make you a lot more sad. But moving on to the next thing to rate, the Fight Night music pack. The Fight Night event happened back in season 7, if I do recall correctly, and it was one of the only collection events to come without a music pack, despite having a really cool theme in the trailer. And of course, if you've heard the music from the Fight Night trailer, you know how much of a banger it is. But it turns out the reason we couldn't get the music pack in game is because the people who made the music made it a YouTube exclusive track, so it could only be uploaded to YouTube and not Apex. So that's a shame, and I really love this music pack, although it's not important enough to be at a high tier, so I'm putting it at C. My next decision may be pretty controversial, but next we're talking about the scrapped Goliath. Goliath was originally a boss that was leaked by Thord and Smash to be coming to Storm Point, and basically it'll just be a prowler that damages you a lot and has a big health bar. But before Storm Point released, Respawn did scrap it, most likely because it was too annoying to fight against if you didn't want to fight a 3000 HP beast that can probably knock you over with one hit. Although there have been rumblings of it potentially arriving in the future, I'm quite dubious about it because I know Respawn don't really want to introduce a huge health pool boss into the map that could ruin your game. So I'm going to put this at B tier. It seemed like a cool idea, but like most things, it probably wouldn't have been fun in practice. Still, maybe if the boss is in a locked away room where you can enter and exit at will, it would be pretty cool. Next, we have the Crypto Heirloom Optic, but it isn't really what it sounds like. This was data mined around 2 years ago and was basically an heirloom rarity sight, so it would have been a red sight that gave you some sort of extra ability. We theorized when you aim down sights it could sonar people through walls, or it could give you extra aim assist or something. But we will never know because it's been a while since it was last data mined and it's not come to the game and we've seen no traces of it since. Honestly, I think this would have been so awesome and there's so much potential in this. Literally, imagine getting an optic from a care package, putting it on your gun and having a slight advantage. It would have been a really cool gameplay aspect, and if it did have like sonars, it could have made for a balanced but somewhat OP item. So I rate this an S because I would genuinely love to see this in the game at one point. Next, we just have a ton of scrap skins. There's been so many scrap skins over Apex's life cycle that we've never got, and I would imagine most of them aren't going to come. Some are extremely cool, some are extremely boring, and honestly, the fact that most of these didn't come most likely saved a lot of us a lot of money, so all the scrap skins are going to have to go at C tier. I would have liked you, but honestly, I can live without you. For the next item we're going to put on the tier list, we have the Slam Firebolt. This was leaked quite a while ago and was basically a hop-up that you put on your gun. We don't know which gun, but it allowed automatic fire with super increased recoil. In my opinion, if this hop-up was added, it would have gone on the P2020 because it just seems like something that would work on there. You know, give it auto fire at the cost of increased recoil. It would have been a fun excuse to try the P2020, so I'm going to put this at A tier. Hopefully we do see this one day though. But moving on, for the next item on the tier list, we have the scrapped legend class abilities that was scrapped from the class rework a few months ago. Basically, we have 3 that we know of. One was Death Box Insight that allows you to see loot inside death boxes. Not too sure what that means. Second, we have Evo Boost that basically gives you Evo Shield after every kill for free, which is really cool and is basically an official health siphon. And then we have Kill Boost, which would have reduced ultimate cooldown after each kill. This sounds like it had a lot of potential to make classes matter a lot more than they currently do, although with the strength of these abilities, it sounds hard to balance them all to be on the same level playing field. For this reason, and the fact that pros probably would have complained about it when it came out because they have to memorize more abilities related to legends, this is going on B tier. The next thing we're going to put on the list is pretty self-explanatory. This is an animation that was made for the Wattson Heirloom, but unfortunately it didn't come out by the time it was released. Basically, she just put a Nessie on the gun, and then a bird came and kicked the Nessie off. It's a shame that this didn't come, but now with the new Heirloom recolors adding new animations, maybe one day this shall return under a Wattson Heirloom recolor. But because there's a Nessie in it and it's so wholesome, this is taking an easy S tier. For the next item, I think a lot of you have been waiting for this, because this is Pariah, a legend who was leaked back in Season 6 and had a really cool hooded design with fire on their face. The thing is, this legend wasn't truly scrapped, they were turned into Seer later on in development, but they lost this really cool hood up design. Now, I like Seer's design, I really do, but this is 10 times cooler. I am so sorry, and I really wish we got this design. And if you're doubting me that Pariah was changed to Seer later in development, don't, because Seer's Heirloom has an Easter egg where he writes Pariah down and crosses it out. So checkmate, atheists. And because this design is really cool, we're going to place it in A. But don't leave yet, because we have got some really awesome ones for the last tiers. Because next tier, we have PvE as a mode. If you're not aware, Apex was seemingly originally developed to have a PvE mode, but it was later scrapped. When Apex first came out, there were a lot of traces of PvE in the files, but unfortunately, they've slowly disappeared. We have got small PvE modes over the years, but nothing would have compared to a full PvE mode. Although I have a counterpoint, PvE modes in games that don't focus on PvE do get dry very quickly, so I feel like Respawn stretching their resources out between Battle Royale and PvE would have kind of ruined the game, so I'm going to put this at a B. It would have been cool, but I see the reason it was most likely scrapped. And now for this next item I'm going to put on the tier list, I think a lot of you will agree with me. The Reactive flatline. The Reactive flatline was data mined around a year ago now, and Respawn were essentially planning to release it and sell it seemingly. And then when the first Reactive recolor released in a collection event replacing the Heirloom, people got very mad. Respawn got so much hate for this, they vowed to never do it again. And even though this flatline reactive is really cool, I'm so glad Respawn didn't release this, because that would have been the start of the end for collection events. It would have been so bad paying $160 for this. Are you joking me? So off to D tier you go, Mr. Flatline. For the next item on the tier list, we have the original concept that Legends were going to wear pilot helmets because they were going to be pilots. The designs are very cool, and it's really weird seeing Gibraltar and Wraith with pilot helmets that are officially made for them. But honestly, I really love the current personality of Wraith and other Legends, and I think making these characters pilots and wear pilot helmets would have taken a lot of personality away from them, as cool as it looks. But because I love Titanfall so much, and it does look extremely cool, this is going in a B tier. I would kind of like to see a collection event with pilot helmet Legends. And the final item on the tier list, explosive ammo. Yes, this was data mined. This was going to be released, or at least was tested at some point, but luckily Respawn didn't release it. Now, it sounds really cool and fun to fight with, but in a battle royale, do you really want to be fighting against explosive ammo? Something that could blow up a door immediately, or where people could kill you without even having a direct line of sight just by shooting a wall around you? No, it sounds extremely dumb, and it would have taken a lot of balancing to make it a viable item. Like, the fact that we can't even balance the R99 these days shows us that explosive ammo would just be no fun at all. So unfortunately, this is going to be our final D tier of the day, finishing the tier list. Yes, my opinions are probably going to annoy some of you, but honestly, after playing this game for so long, I think most of these scrap things happen for the best. I can see the reasoning, and I think Apex is in a better place today than it would have been if these released. Although I'm sure some of you will disagree, that's just my opinion. Leave a like if you enjoyed tier lists, and also subscribe, and I'll see ya. Bye. Bye bye.